got that heat, let's go.
Yeah. Happy Sunday, y'all. I hope this finds everyone well. Happy Sunday to one and to all that are here. Hope your day is going excellent. Thanks for taking this opportunity to be here. Tuning in to the SMT podcast after your amazing weekend, hopefully. If you play fantasy football, I hope you're winning. If your favorite NFL team had played today, I hope they won. If you don't care about football, hashtag no football. There are people that don't like football. I know it's America's game, really. Everybody's all in on NFL football, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. Not everybody cares. Some people live in towns without an NFL team. Some people don't care to watch, regardless. So, you know. Anyways, the DJ's got the beats going. Brought to you by Tana So Lit. This beat's fire, man. I'm about to turn it up just for another minute. It's that good. This beat is literally that fire, so I'm gonna turn it up. Yo, DJ, kick the music. Yeah, we try to bring it to you guys. Give you a good show. Hope you enjoy it. Bring the music down a little bit. I want to tell you what we're going to be doing in tonight's show. Topics that we'll cover and such. Oh, yeah. I do see, what do we got, about 50 viewers right now in the live? Want to give a big shout out to my mod squad. Hashtag mod squad. We got Brennan, we got Mike, Kazi, Barry, David. Appreciate you guys stopping by. I do see some of the usual faces. Frankie, James, DGAF, Joeseph, and Jarrett. Jose as well. Adam, good to see you, man. Glad you could stop by. Ron is here. Joshua is here. Dan is in the house. Troy is here. Scott is here. Info assistant is here. Also, let me know if my mic is loud enough. If I need to turn this sucker up, I absolutely can. What's up, King Ram? How you doing? Nadeem. GS. Let me know if my mic is up enough. If I need to kick it up a notch, I can absolutely do that. Just let me know. Mic is perfect? All right, we'll keep it going then. Sound is good. Excellent. Thank you for that feedback. Adam, good to see you, man. Hashtag Mod Squad in the house. That's right. Best community in the world. Appreciate it, James. Thanks for that. Turn it up a little bit? Absolutely, Kazi. But before I turn up the mic a little bit, DJ, kick the music. Telling you, man, this beat is fire. That boy Tanner, that boy good. That boy's so good, he bad. All right, man. Let's get to business, all right? All right, let's turn this down. Transition. All right, y'all. We got a December 13th, 2020 edition of the SMT podcast. It is really good to have you. Glad you could be here. If you're watching this in the live, hashtag 2LiveCrew. If you are watching this on replay, hashtag replay gang. Appreciate it very much. If you're watching this while you're eating dinner, or maybe you're hungry while you're watching this, hashtag ravioli gang. Regardless, it is excellent. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of the SMT Nation. We do appreciate you very much. Appreciate your viewership. Appreciate your support. All those who like this video, please give that thumbs up button a smash. Share it to your socials also if you got Twitter, if you have Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Just go ahead and push it out there. You got friends, maybe they're into telecom or they need to know more about providers. You'd be doing them a big favor. Send them over this way. Let them know about the channel. Appreciate it very much. Gregory. All right, y'all. Absolutely tremendous. So, Apple Watch, good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. So we got some Apple news. Apple's going to be making some 5G internals. All right, so that's a thing. That is definitely 100% confirmed. We, we knew about this. This dates back, earlier in the year when we, it dates back to last year if you think about it, right? They signed that deal with Qualcomm. We knew that they were going to be providing the 5G hardware, internal hardware for the up-and-coming iPhone 12 generation. But then we learned that they had purchased the Intel mobility chipset company assets from Intel. So we knew that this was in the works. We knew it was going to happen. So, it was just inevitable. But we got some more details, and a couple things happened over the weekend. Dates back to Friday. I didn't get to cover it on the show. So I wanted to bring it up in today's edition of the podcast. So that'll be our first topic today. But I'm also going to talk about Spectrum Auction 107 C-band. That's a big thing. That's a real big thing. And I wanted to just do a recap of last week and where it's at, and then kind of do an outlook, sort of prediction, trends of what we expect moving forward. And we'll cap it off with some Dish news. Not good if you're a Dish customers. Or if you were thinking about becoming a customer, prices are going up per usual in the TV marketplace. So what are we in? We're in like 10, 11 minutes in here. Yeah, that's good. Let's do this. All right, so story number 1. Apple has a deal with Qualcomm. Qualcomm is, providing the internal hardware for their cellular modems in the iPhone 12 generation, right? So you got the iPhone 12 mini, you have the 12, you have the 12 Pro, and you have the 12 Pro Max. Okay, fair enough. That's great. Now, the thing about this deal is this deal indicates that they either weren't able to produce their own fast enough that were going to be suitable for their standards. There's a lot of different ways you could look at it, but it was on the heels of the iPhone being announced and kind of knowing about it. Thanks, No Radio. Appreciate you, man. But now with these things starting to develop a little bit and time is passing, we have some insight on what we can expect from Apple with 5G internals, which is important. I think you guys, especially for us here in North America, it's going to be a big deal. All right, so Apple's not necessarily moving away from Qualcomm, in my opinion, but some people have taken it that way. But they are most definitely going to be producing their own 5G internals. That is 100% confirmed. That is 100% going to be the case. All right, Apple did not buy Intel to only have a deal with Qualcomm. That's not going to happen, right? They bought Intel to produce their own chips. That is going to be their in-house solution for cellular modem hardware. So the development of its own 5G cellular equipment and internals indicates that Apple wants control of its productions. All right, so when Apple can't produce a certain thing, they have other companies do it. If they can't meet the demand, for example, another situation that they address. Or if they think that they can't do it as well, right? They'll have somebody else do it. I mean, it makes sense, right? Samsung makes the best displays. Apple buys their displays from Samsung, right? So it makes total sense. If you can produce the best, then great, you do it. But if you can't produce the best, but you want to use the best, you just got to outsource it, right? You just got to buy, right? You got to make deals, and you make that happen. Anyways, on Friday, in the development of this news, that Apple was further along in their 5G modem development than we once thought, the stock market kind of moved, actually. It started to kind of like shift a little bit, which is interesting. All right, so at the time of this news and this development, this investors started to sell their shares, which is interesting. So they got news of, Apple doing its own thing with their 5G internals for cellular. Automatically, shares started to move around and shift by investors on the Qualcomm side. It's very interesting. Hey, William, good to see you. Interesting indeed. So when that news broke, the market kind of shifted. Apple looks to be doing its own thing, and that's how the investors responded. Apple purchased Intel's 5G and mobility chipset business earlier in the year. Apple now has a substantial footprint in San Diego, California. For those of you that find that as a big deal, I agree. The thing about San Diego is that's Qualcomm's headquarters, right? It's Qualcomm's hometown, if you will. So this probably indicates that Apple is on their way into San Diego to do a little bit of scouting, maybe some talent hunting. You're looking for the right people to push your business, your development, your research, trade secrets of Qualcomm, if you will, how to do things, what to do, right? They could offer all of that. So when will Apple have a market-ready cellular internal? When are they going to have a market-ready 5G modem, if you will? It's hard to say. I don't think anybody really has the answer to this. Not Minchi Kuo, not any of the, leaksters, FPT, or whoever these people are. They don't know. All right, because Apple doesn't know. Yeah, exactly, Barry. Poach a couple of employees. Absolutely. Here's what I think we can kind of take away, though, from this. All right, so number one, Apple will not launch any 5G internals, cellular modems, or any of that stuff unless it is market ready. It's got to be good. It's got to be adequate. It's got to be up to par. Apple is not going to deploy a really important part of cellular networking and only to have it falter and be lesser than effective compared to the competition. They made the deal with Qualcomm to make sure that they didn't fall behind in cellular hardware, right? So they signed that deal to ensure that. So they're not gonna use these things unless they're ready. So when they develop and make that 5G internal, that those modems, and they won't do it until it's perfect. That's all I'll kind of say about that. That's pretty much it. Also, they're going to have to scale, which means they have to be able to produce enough for their products. If they're going to be, estimating selling 10 or 20 million iPhones in America in a given month, you have to be able to produce the cellular modems for it. So they need to scale. They need to meet the demands of the company. They sell a lot of phones. Nobody sells more phones in North America than Apple. Whether it's last year's models or this year models or, the 2 years ago, I mean, they still make some of those phones, right? They sell like hotcakes. iPhones, they sell themselves. I truly believe that Apple doesn't even need to market their phones anymore. People just know the iPhone, right? I think another thing also is if you look at what Apple's done with the M1 chipsets and what's going on with the computer hardware, I actually see that as showing great promise. Therefore, I think they can do it in mobility too. It's different. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk that Apple's going to make great cellular hardware. That's not a guarantee. But if they're able to do really good things with their computers, then who's to say that it's not a possibility, right? They could make a really good cellular 5G modem. They could. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's unlikely that they'll be better than Qualcomm. That's what Qualcomm does. Qualcomm has been doing this for years. Apple's going to jump into the game and overtake Qualcomm right away? No way. That's crazy talk. When somebody's been doing something for a long time, they've obviously they've established themselves, right? There's trust there. People kind of know the name Qualcomm. It's trusted. They know. But another thing is that Apple signed a multi-year deal with Qualcomm. You know what I'm saying? So that ensures that there's still going to be an existing relationship with Qualcomm and Apple, even if and when Apple begins to use its own hardware internally for 5G. So Apple signing that multi-year deal, I don't know, could be 2 years or more. Is it a 3 year? Is it a 4 year? It's kind of annoying, but details on the deal between Qualcomm and Apple have not really been publicly disclosed. I haven't seen it, at least, unless somebody has. I don't know. I don't know how much it was for in terms of monetary value. I don't know the exact duration. So, don't quote me on that. But I do believe it's probably beyond 2 years, because there's no way that Apple is ready in 2 years to replace everything that Qualcomm can provide for them. So, yeah, if it was 4 or 5 years, that would make sense. See, because here's the thing. Qualcomm is way ahead of any company right now. Any company. In terms of research, in terms of development, in terms of execution, in terms of scaling, in terms of patents, in terms of capabilities, design. Qualcomm's got it. They're made in the shade. I also don't really think it's realistic for Apple to ever really pass Qualcomm. I think it's more likely that Apple will never make a better chipset, or a modem, I should say, than Qualcomm. That may never come. They might make one that's comparable. They might make one that's decent, close, but I really don't ever see Apple making 5G cellular hardware, internal modem hardware better than Qualcomm. That's just unlikely. That's not what Apple has done in the past. It's not what they're known for, right? That's what Qualcomm does. You don't bake a cake and then go to a master bakery and say, oh, I'm going to sell my cakes better than... Come on, man. It just doesn't happen. Not to say that people haven't been overthrown, but I'm just saying it's unlikely, and it's probably not going to happen. All right? At least not for a while. It's going to take some serious time. Right? But I would bet that Apple will do it better than Intel did. And I think Apple will do it better than Intel would have done it if it was still Intel's business. So Qualcomm is definitely generations ahead of any company for that matter. Frankie, man, thank you so much for that. Thank you for that super chat. Wow, that's a very generous donation. Thank you, Frankie. Appreciate it. Gave me the #1 sticker. Thanks so much, man. Appreciate the support. Yeah, thank you. That fox is cool, man. Thanks a lot, Frankie, and appreciate you supporting the channel. And thanks for being a part of the nation. Hey, Big John, appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by, man. The with the 5G piece, this is the one thing I know for sure. Like, I don't really think this is arguable. The 5G piece, if you just look at millimeter wave and how difficult it is to really design a proper millimeter wave antenna module, it's difficult to do. Apple had a really hard time with this. They figured it all out. However their design team did it, whatever. They figured it all out, but it was a lot of work, and it was very difficult and challenging. It really held up the development and the launch of the phone, throw in the pandemic, and it was just rough, right? We got the iPhone later than we wanted it. We got the new generation iPhones in staggered releases with the Pros and the regulars, and the large phone and the smaller phone. So I think the relationship between Qualcomm and Apple is here to stay for a while. So don't think that Apple's just going to abandon Qualcomm because they have their own research and development team for their 5G modems. But who's to say that even with Apple developing their own chipset 5G modem array, antenna arrays and so on, who's to say they won't continue to utilize Qualcomm? I think they do. I do. I think Apple will leverage its own chips or its own modems, and they will also leverage Qualcomm's. And I'm going to tell you why this can work. The reason I think Qualcomm and Apple will both be providing modems for the iPhones in future iterations. Apple sells a lot of frickin' phones, guys. They sell a lot of phones in North America. They sell phones in South America, tons in Europe, Asia. China, that market's critical. Japan, right? They sell these frickin' phones. They need cellular modems. They're going to need as much as they can get. So that means not only will they develop their own and probably use them, but they're still going to leverage Qualcomm as a company that can provide for them. And then they won't have any, shortages, and they won't have any supply constraints. It's good business. You're going to sell so many phones that you're going to need 2 different companies to produce those modems, right? So it's a good strategy to have that in your back pocket. We have a relationship pre-existing with Qualcomm. They'll provide us with the superior modem, and then we're going to make our own and continue to develop ours, try to compete, make it as good, try to exceed, all of that stuff. But it just makes sense. Oh, and one more thing, the millimeter wave piece. It is not easy to develop the millimeter wave. That is a very difficult connection. Qualcomm's got it in spades, right? Clearly, it's working in the iPhone. Clearly, it's working in the Galaxies and all the phones this year. It's gotten better compared to the 2019 model phones. It's getting better and better. Qualcomm's leading the way in millimeter wave technology. So, I say that to say this. If Apple can't figure out millimeter wave well enough in their own produced modems, they can always fall back to Qualcomm. Or if they don't need millimeter waves for certain markets, they can actually produce their own modems that don't have millimeter wave, because there are countries that are not using millimeter wave. It's not going to be realistic to go to a certain country where they lack infrastructure to even conjure up the idea of millimeter wave. Look at all the sites that you need for millimeter wave. You need a node every block or two to effectively build a tower grid of microcells all over a city. So you're not going to go into some random, small city or rural area in Hungary and have millimeter wave plastered everywhere. It's not going to be the case. Well, in that country, they could utilize models that don't need millimeter wave, and Apple can produce that modem for that iPhone. So in countries that aren't going to leverage millimeter wave, Apple go ahead and make their own modems for there, right? Joeseph brings up the point. United Kingdom is sub-6 5G only. You talk about millimeter wave to people in the UK, they don't know what you're talking about. They don't even have an experience to connect to. Right now in the US, we're leveraging millimeter wave actually quite aggressively for just year 1.5 so far, dating back to May of 2019 with Verizon. It's deployed pretty quickly in my estimation. considering all the constraints. But that's not the case in every country. In countries that do want or need millimeter wave connectivity, Qualcomm could be the one. But for other solutions, Apple could be the one. And they could streamline their productivity, right? Streamline their business operations, improve their profitability by providing their own modems for those models of iPhones, and life is good. Now, does it make it a little more complicated? We're making different model iPhones? Maybe. I don't think it's that dramatic. You can figure out systems that could make that work. But in my opinion, I think that's something they could leverage. Apple would be smart to continue to leverage Qualcomm when necessary, and then, have them produce a majority of the modems they require. And then in applications where you don't need millimeter wave or you're able to produce some of your own, you do that to save on your cost. Apple's all about profitability. Shareholders want money, right? They want payouts, right? So that's how you do that. My takeaway from the story, though, I know I spent a lot of time on it. God, I think I spent at least 15 minutes on it, right? Something like that. I'm not sure how any of this news is bad. For the investors to automatically look to sell their Qualcomm shares, that I think is short-sighted. In my opinion, I see this situation as still a win for Qualcomm because they have a deal with Apple. Do you guys think it was better that Apple and Qualcomm were in court for the last few years? That definitely was not a better scenario than this. This scenario is much better. Both companies thriving, both companies making more money than they did before. Could you imagine if the iPhone 12 did not have a 5G modem? Just think about that for a second. Samsung would be in generation 3 of 5G technology in January. And Apple wouldn't have a 5G modem until the fall of 2021. That would be blasphemous. That would be unacceptable, right? So this is a much better option, right, for Apple and Qualcomm to have this relationship in place. And you'll never run out of, modems, right? You're developing your own, you're producing your own, whatever the case may be. And then boom, you've always got the Qualcomm relationship there. They can always provide for you and they could scale, right? And you can meet the demands of all your customers and produce as many phones as your heart could desire. I think Apple wins in this, right? It's a new business segment for them. Allow them to streamline the productions of their phones, improves their profitability, improves the reliance on other providers of, internal hardware. It's a win-win situation. So I don't see it. I don't get why the shareholders, the investors, felt compelled to sell their stocks. I just don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say, actually. For those of you watching this on replay, go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this Apple, Intel, Qualcomm news. Thought it was an interesting story. I definitely wanted to bring it to the table. What else do we have for y'alls? Okay. Dish news for you. So this is actually Dish TV. Any of you out there that are Dish customers possibly, or maybe you're considering a switch to Dish, pricing is going up. I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Dish is raising prices across the board as of January 14th, 2021. So we're talking literally like a month from now, right? So they're giving people like a 30-day heads up. So huge implications for people's bills, obviously. Notifications have been sent to current customers. The price increase will be valued at about $5 per month across all plans. That sucks. $5 a month, that might be like 7 to 10% of your bill. Depends, right? This is going to increase pricing and billing on current customers. Will also reflect on their changes to their website for prospective customers. This is clearly a concerning trend. Obviously, prices have been going up for a long time. Pretty much every provider has gone up for home internet. Every provider has gone up for TV. It's just been an ongoing trend. This has been going on for a couple years now. Price increase, price bumps, quarter after quarter, essentially. Anyways, the AT&T raised pricing in a couple different parts of their business. We saw this with DirecTV. We saw with Uverse. We saw with Comcast. Programming costs are going up, y'all. Nothing beyond that. That's pretty much what it is. Okay. As the programming providers make content and distribute it, they're raising prices on the home TV providers. So Dish is essentially having to pay more for the programming. Therefore, by their pricing increasing, they extend the price increase to you. So Dish will be removing or reducing certain costs that are associated with equipment used in the service. That's actually good news. So certain things are going to go down in your bill. That's good. Customers with 2-year price contracts will be unaffected. They are going to be locked in with this deal. So don't feel like, oh, I got a contract and now they're going to go up. This isn't right. If you have a contract, you're locked in. If you recently signed a 2-year deal, that will continue to be honored for the duration of the contract. But anybody who is not, it's expired or you're paying month to month, that price is going to go up. TV is getting expensive, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, TV is not cheap. If you want to watch entertainment on your television, it's not cheap at all. The prices continue to increase. 1 month it's a streaming service goes up, right? Like Netflix or Hulu. In fact, Netflix has gone up like 7 times in the last 3 years. It feels like I remember when Netflix was like $6 or $7 a month. It's like some people are paying like $18 now. I don't know which plan they have or whatever, but sheesh, man, the programmings just keep on increasing, and then that gets pushed onto the consumer. So prices are going up. TV's getting expensive. It's frequently happening. It's basically quarterly or annually prices are going up. Look, if you're pissed at price increases, this is not changing anytime soon. Either you pay it or you find other solutions. Some people are finding other options. They're cutting the cord, right? They're getting away from big cable. They're getting away from satellite operators. If you don't like the pricing, the other option is to cut the cord. Some people have minimized what they use for TV. Some people have gone to a streaming service and just watched, through skinny bundles or whatever their wireless provider gives to them as a perk. Some people are just basically watching Netflix on us through T-Mobile. Some people are basically watching Hulu through Verizon. And some people are watching HBO Max through AT&T. That may be one of the only ways for somebody to watch TV and not be dealing with these price increases, right? Because the providers are kind of eating the cost, as they say, all right, to give you some of that, some of that access. But the bundles have gone up in pricing, with some of the streaming services. Traditional home TV and cable has gone up. It's not changing, y'all. TV's just expensive. Expect more of the same in 2021. I'll put the over-under at about a month. We're going to have more price hikes in February or something. When business goes down, the prices go up. And these things just continue to plague the consumer market. It sucks. I don't want to dwell too much on it. If you have, Dish as a provider, that's just what you can expect. And I think the rest of us that are TV customers, we're just kind of used to it by now. So that's that. Oh, yeah, Dan. Appreciate you very much, man. Thank you for supporting. Appreciate the super chat. Dan says, I kind of think the satellite is going at it eventually. Once satellite internet is full blast, the most will use cord-cutting providers and never be searching for signal ever again. There are definitely benefits to certain services, right, Dan? For sure. I totally agree. But it's good to have the choices, right? And maybe you're right. Maybe your prediction is right. A lot of people used to laugh and say, oh, cord cutting's not a thing. They'll be back. People don't like cable companies. People don't like dealing with them. They don't like the customer care. They don't like the lack of attention. My home internet provider is absolute trash. Cox is horrible. They are the worst. They want to charge me money to fix their faulty equipment. That's my problem. That's my fault. Right? That's the type of crap that happens with some of these companies. I would rather take a pile of money and burn it than give Cox more than I have to. Right? So I would gladly try anything in order to get better value, better customer care, or a better service. Save some money in the process. Right? Because in 2020 and moving into 2021, the economy is on the rocks. Let's not beat around the bush here. We need a bounce back year. Right? And they're going to keep raising prices, and that's their answer to, lack of revenue generated. I think a lot of people are going to be disconnecting TV, continuing moving forward. So cord cutting's been a thing for a while. I think that will continue to grow. I think that'll continue to be, it'll magnify, in my opinion. So it's going to be more notable than ever, right? And as people become more comfortable with streaming services, they are more likely to move away from traditional cable and satellite operators. And in my opinion, like Dan said, the satellite operators is a dying business anyways. Nobody wants DirecTV at its face value. AT&T paid like $50 billion for that. They took on another $20 billion in debt. And they're going to get back like $15 to $20 billion out of it. That tells you where satellite's at, right? Dish is going to get into a wireless business. Satellite ain't cutting it, right? So, like I said, 2021, we'll see what happens, but expect price bumps from pretty much all TV operators and home internet providers for that matter. Drinking the red Kool-Aid, y'all. You guys see that? That's that red Kool-Aid. Delicious. It's actually Gatorade, but whatever. They're not sponsoring, so screw them. All right, y'all. Last story for the night. We're 38 minutes in. We'll wrap it up with this one. Spectrum Auction 107 is ongoing. On the line in this auction, we have what is referred to as 5G Goldilocks, the most important spectrum to be auctioned to date ever. That's what some are saying. 3.7 gigahertz. This is 5G Gold. It is mid-band of the, of the traditional variety. It's higher than the, PCS of 1.9 gigahertz and the AWS of 2.1 and the WCS of 2.3 and the 2.5 of Verizon Sprint, T-Mobile Sprint. It's a little bit higher than that. So capacity up the wazoo, as they say. So 280 megahertz of it, tons of it. The carriers need this. They really do. Nobody more so than Verizon, AT&T as well. T-Mobile, they'll sprinkle their way in there. They'll get a little bit here and there to fill up the gaps wherever they have trouble with 2.5 or not enough of it or whatever, or places where they need capacity. So they'll go bargain shopping at the end, picking their spots. Anyways, huge implications for wireless networking in the short term and the long term as well. Here's a little bit of an update for you guys. I just want to kind of round everything up that we saw. We're 1 week in the books. 12 rounds of bidding has been completed, going from Tuesday to Friday. So in terms of monetary value, gross bid revenue is at about $5 billion. So what we saw on day one was just an incredible amount of money that was generated in bids. But my goodness, in week one, which is 4 days, it wasn't even a full week. It wasn't even 5 days of auction. It was 4 days because they didn't auction on Monday. It was Tuesday through Friday. They generated $5 billion. If you do the average on it, that's over $1 billion daily. And then specifically, if you look at day one, they had like $1.9 billion. So almost $2 billion on day one, which basically means day 2, 3, and 4 all must have been 500 million or better. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely incredible. Huge money. We've got some more rounds up and coming. This is going to be ongoing for a while. Monday has rounds 13 through 16. So the first 12 rounds are in the books. 13 through 16 are on Monday. Each round, I think, is like an hour apart. I think except for like the last two or the last one, it's like 2 hours from the one before. Anyways, Tuesday is round 17 through 20, and then Wednesday is rounds 21 through 24. So they are doing 4 rounds of bidding each day, and that's going to continue through the week. Now, I only saw up to Wednesday when I was looking it up. I don't know if that means they're going to be off for the holidays or if that's just only tracked up to Wednesday. So if I have an update to give you guys, I will bring it to the channel, and I'll update you on everything moving forward. But that covers the next 3 days. So no notes after that. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if they're recessing for the holidays, but I'll provide an update when that time comes. If I remember correctly, with the holidays and with these Spectrum auctions, they do recess and then they resume. So I remember it was like a day or two before Christmas, or a week before Christmas, they kind of shut it down. They had a Spectrum auction, and then they came back like a day or two later, and then, they auctioned a little bit more, and then they shut it down again for New Year's, and then they came back like a couple days later, and they finished up the auction. So my expectation is it'll be more of the same. It'll be very similar to that. So after Christmas, after New Year's, they'll continue to kind of hit the ground running and try to finish up the auction. And I do expect it to finish at some point at the end of January or something like that. Maybe it extends into February. I guess that's a possibility. But they really had a lot of steam in that first week, didn't they? $5 billion in week one. If they were to generate another couple of $1 billion, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5 billion through the end of December, which is quite possible, they'd be at 10 billion going into January. Right? I expect them to actually be probably, I don't know, first or second week of January. My expectation is that they'll be somewhere around 35 to 40 billion. I really do. And then to kind of close things out the last couple of weeks, they'll fall into place. I think, like I said, my goal, well, I shouldn't say goal, my prediction was that the Spectrum Auction 107 was going to generate somewhere in the neighborhood of like $40 to $45 billion. A lot of people were saying it might be 50 plus billion, which I just thought was too much. And based on week one, it's possible, maybe, but I think it's unlikely based on like the slowdown towards the end of the week. I don't think it's going to have 50 billion. I think it's going to settle in around 40 to 45. That seems to make more sense. Jarrett, I'll let you. If you're on Twitter, Jarrett, I can share that document with you. It's public. It's a public document. I think it's a FCC website document. I've got it bookmarked. I'll share it with you, man. I got you. But that's the update. All right, that's what's going on with Spectrum Auction 107. And really, that was pretty much it. And you know what? I do want to kind of ask, for those of you that saw the video earlier that I posted, I was testing, N71, LTE 71, 600 megahertz for T-Mobile, and I was testing N41 and LTE 41 for T-Mobile. I was testing all four of those, and I was, checking out the access and speeds and capacity. What did you guys think of that video? Did you guys enjoy it? Would you like to see more content like that? Because that's kind of like what I call the Speed with Sneed, segment of the channel. Yeah, definitely, D Showtime. We've been upgrading. I've been upgrading the channel every step of the way, bro. Always. I upgraded mics. I upgraded the audio interface. I upgraded the camera. I upgraded the computer. The wiring, the cables, the phones. I'm constantly working to improve the channel. Always. For the viewers, the subscribers, the SMT Nation, we reinvest back into the community. That's really what it's about. So if you appreciate that, then give this video a like and a share. That's how you could support the channel. There's ways to donate. You could become a Patreon member. There's so many different things you could do to support productions here. So do capitalize on the opportunity to do that. And we appreciate you. What I also want to do is I want to thank a few people. As you guys are kind of giving me your comments there about Speed with Sneed, there are some new members of the Patreon page. I want to give a special shout out to a few people. Number one is Josh. Welcome to you, sir. SPC Exeter. Welcome to you. Thanks for being a part of the community. Also, Stetson. Welcome to you, sir. Stetson and I have collaborated a couple of times on some podcasts and live streams. So it's a great, interactive relationship we have through the communities. Big shout out to Joey. Welcome to you to the Patreon. And also welcome to Tim. We're glad to have you guys. Thank you so much for being a part. Thank you for supporting. And we're looking forward to providing more content over on the Patreon side. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon member, there's a link in the description box. And we've got 4 tiers. We've got a $1 tier, a $2 tier, $3 and a $5. We got the Sneed Army. We got Super SMT. You know, we've got all these different perks and exclusives, live streams unique to Patreon. We've got videos unique to Patreon. Early access for even the YouTube videos. There's a lot of different things you can get with those perks. So if you like what the channel does, check out the Patreon page down below. Link in the description. What's up, Big Lou? How you doing, brother? Man, life is good, man. No complaints, man. Sad to see that you just got here, man. We're about to wrap up the show. We're already like 47 minutes in. Yeah. Do me a favor, y'all. Let me get a hashtag, yeah, for all you here that appreciate the SMT Nation. A lot of people, I don't think they understand. The SMT Nation is not me. The SMT Nation is not Carlos. The SMT Nation is not content creators. The SMT Nation are the people that watch this content, support this content, and are subscribed and viewers of this channel. It is not a creator. It is the people. That is what it is. That is what the SMT Nation stands for, and that's what it is. It's not a person. It's a people. It's a collective effort of people that want to become better educated and experienced with wireless networking technologies. I don't care what anybody tells you. If they tell you that the SMT Nation is, you know, Carlos and Sneed, and it's not. It's not. It never was. It's always been the people. And that's just them the facts. And y'all are the best. So I want to give the SMT Nation the biggest of shout-outs. You guys are amazing. Hashtag Mod Squad if you have a blue wrench. Thank you for holding it down and keeping things kosher in the live chat. Hashtag 2LiveCrew for those of you watching this in the live. Hashtag Replay Gang if you're watching this on DVR. Hashtag Ravioli Gang if you're watching this while you were eating dinner or if you're hungry. Let's go ahead and wrap this sucker up. Thank you for being a part of the SMT community. All right, you supporting us by watching and being a part of the community means a lot to us, and we do thank you so very much. Okay, if you want to check us out and get more of your wireless news fix, make sure that you are subscribed, especially if it's your first time here. Subscribe, turn on that bell notification icon so you never miss an upload from the SMT. And don't forget to check out the Patreon page if you want some more content. Do check us out there. And that is all. I really do hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Y'all are the best. I wish you wealth. I wish you health. And I really do hope to see you soon on the next video. Peace. Yeah.